How are we, boys and girls? Welcome to the Going Down Under podcast. I am your host, Braam Hein, cruising koala on all social medias, and here we'll be digging deep on all things health and wellness related. Hopefully you're doing fantastic. Whenever you're watching this, hopefully it's the best day you've ever had in your life. Even if it isn't, that's still okay, because then there's more to look forward to, you know? But today, episode 5, 5 episodes in, week 5, pretty crazy stuff. No, but I'm having fun with it. It's good. I've really been enjoying it. And this one, I kind of had a conviction to talk about this thing this week, this specific topic of fear. Whoa, crazy, right? But before we get into that, I just want to give you guys a quick update. School's going pretty well. School's going pretty smooth. Assignments picking up. Talking to a lot of cool people, cool professors and stuff. And the gym's pretty dialed, feeling strong, feeling good. Going for a 315 bench. Possibly. Maybe. We'll see. Hopefully. Otherwise, I'll be very, very sad. No, I won't be sad. But it's a cool thing to aim for. I'm also trying to aim for a sub 5-minute mile, which is, if you know me, insane, because I am not a fast runner or a long distance runner, which means I'm not a runner. But I have some previous experience with cardio, with basketball and rugby and stuff, but I'm not like cardiovascularly elite like some of my other friends, but still going for it. You know what I mean? You gotta do hard things in life. Pause. You have to do hard things in life that involve challenging yourself. That doesn't sound better. Anyway, but that's good. So the concept of fear to me is something that I've definitely struggled with. I'm not talking about like being scared during like scary movies, because I don't know how to fix that, because I friggin' hate scary movies, dude. I can't watch them. I really can't. I just don't. Why would you want to watch that? Genuinely. Like, you're just watching it just to feel worse? Don't do that. Watch something funny. Or something that's cool. Like Marvel. Or Yu-Gi-Oh! Shout out this shirt. You guys are awesome, by the way, if you didn't know. And if you did know, that means we're best friends, because I've rarely met people who like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or who have like era into it as much as I was as a kid, and I am kind of still now. Anyway, regardless. But yeah, I'm also talking about the fear that's actually relevant in most people's lives. Just the fear of just things in general. Just not as in like a phobia, but as in just fear of circumstance or situations or of things happening. Anxiety, basically. But fear is something that will control you unless you understand what it is and how to overcome it. Using that pen. Because if you fear something, you're giving your power away to it, if that makes sense. I should let that sink in for a second. If you fear something, you're giving all of your power to it. Like, if you fear having tough conversations, then those conversations have all of the power and they will forever control you, because you're not doing those conversations, so you're going to be constantly thinking about those conversations. It goes back to this thing I talked about in a previous episode of something called anxiety cost. And it's this concept that the anxiety that comes with not doing something continues to grow until you just do it. So you may as well just do it. Because if you think about it theoretically, the more you worry about something, it's just the more you're going to worry about it until you do it. Because if you don't do it, you're just extending the period of worry. And no one wants to live a life full of worry. If you do, I would question a lot of your ideals or morals. Not morals, that's not the wrong word. But yeah, just why would you want to just worry as much as you want? Because you would just live a happier life not worrying. But that's just me. Could be just me. I know it's a lot of people, but fear is something that you have to overcome. Because if you don't, it will just control every aspect of that part of your life. Because you may be pretty fear adverse in a lot of parts of your life, but in specific parts of your life, if you let fear control them, you won't ever overcome it. So it's something that you have to overcome. And today I'll just be talking about a few things that I've garnered over my extended lifetime of 24 years, because everyone thinks that I'm old around here, which is okay, because that means I'm wise. No, it doesn't. But it means I've had a lot of things, a lot of situations that I've had to think about a lot, or I get to think about in hindsight, that can hopefully benefit myself in the future. And that's why I'm telling them to you, because I feel like personal experience is the best way to learn anything, really. And I'm also reiterating this to a camera by myself, to reiterate it to myself, because I feel like I'm falling into a lot of things again, like being scared of things, scared of potential situations, just because of outcomes that could possibly happen, which usually never don't. Usually good things happen, and even if they don't, you still learn from situations, which means that they're good. So, a few things that I've either heard or learned kind of by myself, or I just have gathered along my journey. These few things that I'm going to cover. And the last one is the one that really sticks with me every single time I look at it or see it. Because if you don't ask it, you're lying to yourself. So I'll get back to that one, of course, but I'll go through the other ones first. So the first one I kind of learned because I do a lot of research with my classes and like my previous undergrad and my master school. One of my other classes was literally just about writing a research proposal for the entire thing. So we learned a lot about research, how to conduct it, how to structure it, and why you do certain things and different things. And I feel like most people are doing a lot of research projects themselves, just on themselves. I feel like everything you kind of do is a research project. Like, what if I go to the gym? What's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Right, if that makes sense. But I've kind of thought of this thing of where you start to ask how and not if. Because an example would be, what if I start this, right? What if I start my social media? What will happen? If this happens, then I can do this. Or if I lose 10 pounds, then I can do this, whatever. Just start asking yourself how. Just start saying, how am I going to do this? How can I start this? How can I lose 10 pounds? How can I start running my sub 5-minute mile? How can I build my strength up to get a 315 bench press? Not if I do this, will I get this? Just ask how. Because if is garnering a hypothesis, like if this happens, this might happen, or this might happen. Because if you ask a hypothesis, it's either gonna be right or wrong, right? Or it could be a mixture of both, whatever. But if you just skip that and you just go straight to the methods, how am I going to do this? How is this going to play out? Then you're just guaranteeing yourself, you're at least guaranteeing yourself that you're going to try everything you can to get a result, to get a certain outcome. And again, that just builds systems. It just builds what you can do. And I really like that just because, especially in schoolwork, and sorry, I'm getting a little stuffy, but if you just build up a resume of how you've been able to do things, then there's just so much more that you can build off of. You can build off previous research projects of how can I start running, or like how can I run a kilometer, to how can I run a half marathon. You can just keep building from there. There's obviously a lot in between those, but yeah, you get what I'm trying to get at. You're just trying to build rapport with yourself and overcome what you're afraid of. Because if you're afraid of running, if you're afraid to start running because if I do this, then I might not have time for this, or if I start this, then I might just suck at it. Fuck that. You just ask how. How am I going to be a runner? How am I going to do this? How am I going to start in the gym? If I go to the gym, I'm going to be, then people might look at me. Fuck that. How am I going to start at the gym? You just get your stuff, put on clothes, get in your car, go to the gym. That's it. It's that simple. That's how you kind of start the process of overcoming things, in my opinion. These might go on a lot of different tangents. My mind's kind of everywhere today, so I'm going to try to keep my best to focus on the task at hand. But regardless, moving on to the next one. This one, I think Jordan Peterson said it, but it's really about, I think people have fear because they don't have purpose, or they don't have drive in certain areas, and they don't have an idea of where they could go. And I think that's a lot of people's fear. That's where a lot of it stems, is they don't have an idea of what they want to happen out of a certain thing. Of like, say your goal is to start in the gym to increase your fitness. Or I want to feel better. I want to look better. And you get scared to go to the gym, or you get scared to start your diet because you're like, what if I fail? What if I don't reach my goal? What if I don't become a bodybuilder? Whatever. He who has a why can overcome any how. Which is ironic because I just talked about all the hows. But this is more so talking about if you get stuck on a how, if you're saying like, how can I get this done? I don't have time. Or how am I going to be able to start in the gym? I don't know what program to have. How am I going to start eating well? I don't have the funds for it. Or how am I going to write this book that I really wanted to write? I don't have the time. But if you have a why, if you have a purpose behind why you really want to do something, none of those will matter because you'll find a way. And I feel like a lot of people don't want to hear that, because the hows can become excuses if you're not careful. Like, how am I going to be able to do this? How can I start the gym? I probably can't because I work the 8 to 5. I do all this other things on the side. I need to have a social life, whatever. If you have a proper why, like, I want to become fit so that when I'm 45 years old, I can still be active with my future children. That is a why. That is a proper purpose. I want to get fit so when I'm 70 years old, I'm not bedridden. I want to get fit so that I can look at myself in the mirror and be proud. Those are whys. Whys aren't like, I want to get fit because I want to look better. That's a good starting point. But if you don't have a true why, Like why I work out so hard and why I preach fitness, why I preach health, why I preach wellness, why I preach all of this shit is because I believe truly in my heart that is the key to living a fulfilled life. Because if I'm unhealthy, if I'm not eating right, I'm not going to feel good. I'm not going to perform well. I'm not going to be there. God forbid anything happens to any of my friends, anyone that I care about. If I'm not physically able to help that person, if I'm not mentally there, if I'm not able to be on my game, if anything happens, God forbid, then I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. Genuinely. Because it's a thing of where you never know what's going to happen. And I'm not saying that I'm going to be ready at all points in time. Like I'm not like on edge all the time. That's going to happen. But I'm trying to prepare myself, my body, my mind for any possible situation, any hardship that comes. And I want to have a foundation to where if I needed to put this on the back burner for something else, I can do that in a space where I won't already have a baseline so low that if I go any lower, I'm at risk for diseases, risk of injury, risk of just feeling like shit. It means so much to me to stay in good health. So if you don't have a purpose, you're not going to have any drive towards it. So that's why my purpose is very clear cut for me. So I urge you to think about that for yourself. Anyway, on to the next one. Okay. How am I going to word this? I'm trying to do this in a correct manner. It's just not going to come off as mean. But people fear hard things. Pause. People fear things that are hard in their life because you can be complacent and be okay. You can live a pretty okay life. You can have a 9-to-5. I'm not saying 9-to-5s are bad. I would hopefully be able to work a researching job 9-to-5. That'd be great. But you could live in a job that you hate with decent money, with a partner that's okay, it's mediocre, or whatever. If you don't accept that hard things make you a better human being, and doing things that aren't comfortable are going to help you in your life, then you're just not going to live a very fulfilled life. And people are afraid of that. And I think that's where a lot of fear stems from again, is just afraid to start things because they're hard. And I love the Alex Hormozi analogy that he talks about with his frat. It's going to sound very preppy. But so Alex Hormozi, you guys probably know who it is. If you don't, he's just like a big entrepreneurial guy, motivational guy, whatever. And so he used to be the president of a frat. And he said that one year, like, all these people wanted to leave his frat because they were doing, this was back when hazing was legal. And so he was hazing them and they all wanted to leave. And then he said, okay, put your hands up that before this week you guys wanted to join the frat. They all put their hand up, whatever. And then he said, again, who here thought that joining the frat would be hard? And they all kept their hands up. And this is after like a hell week. This is where they're all cooked. All their minds are probably absolutely cooked because they've sleep deprivation, a bunch of alcohol, a bunch of silly tasks, whatever. And then he looked at them and was like, well, good, because this is what hard feels like. And that changes this perspective of what that is. You make expectations equal the conditions of what it is, and that's just the new condition. If you expect it to be hard and you're upset that it's hard, that's because you haven't connected the dot of, oh, this is what hard feels like. So now you know what it is, you've done it before, which means that you can do hard things. If you really don't want to get in an ice bath because it's going to suck, because it's going to suck. The expectation, it's going to suck. If you just hop in, you're like, wow, this sucks. You've connected it. This is what hard is. And then in that moment, you can self-actualize. Oh, okay, I can do hard things. Sick. That should just absolutely obliterate any chances of you being scared of doing something again. Because you can do the things that you're scared of because you've done things that you're scared of. It's pretty simple, but unless you practically actually do it, then you won't ever fully realize it. If for you going to the gym is really hard, you just don't want to do it, you're afraid of what people will think, I implore you, go to the gym one time and just get a quick workout in. Just go. You don't even have to do anything. Just go. Stand there for 30 minutes. Don't do that. You can go on the treadmill, go on the bike, whatever. And then you leave. Just sit in the car and be like, I went to the gym. This was something that I was afraid of. Boom. That fear should be, it's obviously not going to be gone in that instant, but you can be scared and still do things. And then it'll just become the new condition. It'll just become a new habit. For me, personally, recently, I stopped doing cardio pretty heavily. It was bad. Just because I played collegiate sport for a very long time. So then I was working out every day for about 4 years straight. And I cooked my body, so I took a break off cardio. And then I was afraid to get back into it because I was like, dude, my cardio sucks right now. Like, my heart rate is way too high. Like, not way too high. It was like 58. But I just was so worried about starting again because I wasn't going to be where I was at previously. And that annoyed me, that frustrated me, that scared me. Then I was like, screw it. Let's just start. Let's just go again. Went on a few runs. Didn't feel great doing it. But I was like, in my head, I was afraid to start this. And I just started it. I just did it. So even though I'm not where I was at, and though I'm still kind of afraid that I'm not going to be able to perform as well cardiovascularly, endurance-wise, I still do it 4 or 5 times a week, which is my goal, which is what I'm aiming at. And that's what it is. You cannot just change reality. You just have to do it. Like, even if you're not scared, even if you are scared, sorry, you just gotta do it. And then it will become the new condition. Expectations will become the new condition. So now we're on to the last one, and this is the one that really, even looking at it, I'm like, whoa, sorry. I nerd out on this shit. But it just means so much to me because there's a lot of things in life that you won't do because you're afraid. And there's a lot of barriers and obstacles that people, including myself, put up subconsciously because we're afraid and you don't even realize. But I implore you to ask yourself this question. I write it down or whatever. Just kind of think about it. And so what it is all it is what would you do if you weren't afraid? What would the you today do in A, B, or C if you weren't afraid? Or just, you can just simply ask yourself the question, as a person, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And, oh, hello. I wasn't saying hello to someone outside, I was just saying hello to like my feelings, I guess. But like making the decision to leave my home, in Australia, was I really wanted to do I really wanted to do what I wanted to do. But my God, was I absolutely terrified of, because I'd never been away from home for more than maybe 4 days. Like, I never not slept in my own bed for more than 4 days. I'd never really cooked for myself. I'd never, like, done anything on my own, really. Like, I'd always had either my parents or friends to rely on, to lean on. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but I'd never been an individual. I never made decisions for myself, and I was terrified. I didn't really know what to expect, and the first few weeks that I was over in America, I was fucking absolutely terrified, absolutely scared, and then I was still pretty afraid of. I was afraid of not being good enough, whatever, all that kind of stuff, because I wasn't great at basketball, honestly. But like, okay, now I'm pretty confidently am, whatever. Not gonna get on that tangent, but I definitely asked myself that question subconsciously back then. I didn't realize it until now, because there was definitely a day where my mentality kind of switched, and I was just like, I just gotta stop being scared. Because I was very timid when I was playing basketball, when I was over there, because I was thinking about so much shit. I was like, I'm just gonna, well, I didn't ask myself this, but for example, back then, what happened was I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna stop playing scared, and I'm just gonna play as hard as I can, because that's what I should do. And that is basically what the question is. It's like, what should I do now? What should I do? Because that's what you should do, is what you want to do, but you're not going to do what you should because you're scared. So if you just take what you don't want to do because you're scared and flip it to, this is what I should do, this is what I need to do, then it just frees your thinking, your mind, of what is truly bothering you. And then you can extrapolate that. Be like, why was I scared of this? Why am I scared of this? What are the root causes? Do I not feel good enough? Do I not feel like I deserve this? Do I not feel that I'm gonna perform? Or is there underlying issues that you can get into? And being afraid is okay. It's a natural human instinct, but the mind isn't always your friend, because it's going to try and keep you as safe as possible. And being safe is okay. Like, it's not a bad thing. But there are a lot of situations to where you need to grow. I needed to come to America. I needed to leave home. Like, I needed to bet on myself and join the JV team in a small college school, because I wouldn't be where I am without making those decisions. But those are a few of the biggest decisions that I've made in my life. And by God, was I afraid to do those things, but those are the things that I needed to do. Those are the things that I felt like I should do. Because I had every excuse in the book to not do those things. And I had I had a bunch of reasons to where I didn't really need to. I could have got a regular job back home, probably working in like a government sector maybe. Like, my mom's even told me that it was the best decision I made, because she didn't even think I was going to graduate university. She didn't think I was going to go to university. She just thought I was probably just going to get a regular job and just kind of work and then just play video games after work, or then maybe go to like a community college and get a small degree, work in a business, whatever. But God, like, I found so much of my true self over here, of my purpose, of what I want to do, of how I can help, like my true God-given purpose, I think, is to help as many people as I can. And I wouldn't have found that out if I didn't make tough decisions, if I didn't do what I was terrified of. So I'm really urging you to do those things. If you really want to start that business, if you really want to write that book, if you really want to get locked in on your fitness, you should follow the creatine koala. Sorry. Now, if you really want to, whatever you want to do, if that's the thing that you're afraid of, that's the thing that you think you should do, fucking do it. Because the only person that's stopping you is you, and the only thing that is stopping you is you being afraid. And being afraid is okay, but not doing the thing that you're meant to do isn't. Because you're just going to look back and regret it. And I don't believe in regret. Just make decisions, and that's the decision. But if you make a decision out of being afraid, that's not making a decision. The fear is making that decision for you. Kind of doing a full circle here. Kind of smooth, nice. Sorry. But if you recognize that something is controlling you, ask, how can I get past this? Why do I really want to get past it? Recognize that it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, and that's just what the new condition is. That's what the new reality is in life. And that's just it. That's just what you're going to do on a daily basis. Like for me, working out isn't a thing that I'm forcing myself to do. I love working out. I truly love it. Diet and nutrition is something that I am very passionate about. I do struggle with it sometimes. I do struggle with more so than people think. That's the thing that I probably am more afraid of, because I'm like, what if it's not perfect? Because I talked about this in my last episode. I still kind of struggle with that. But if it's not perfect, that's fine. Like, I'm afraid of not reaching my goals because of previous me, like my previous mentality, my previous thoughts. And I need to ask myself this question more of, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And that would just be to stick to what I know, what I'm good at, and not try to speed things up because I'm afraid that I'm not looking good enough by this certain point, whatever. And just do what I need to do, because I'm afraid of doing that if it doesn't work. But it's gonna work, because I'm gonna make it work. This is why I'm telling the camera this. I'm telling myself this, so I can look back on it. But regardless, that's my take on fear, and how to overcome it, and how to better yourself and learn more about yourself as a person. But closing that, baby. Also, shout out the Caps, even though they kind of sucked last year. Was it the year before? I can't remember. They sucked one year. But I love you. Hopefully you're doing fantastic. I'm trying my best with the podcast. I'm getting kind of behind on when I should be recording. It's currently Tuesday. It's going to be coming out on a Wednesday, the 29th. But hopefully this helps. I don't know many people watch this, but I really appreciate the ones who do. I know most of you who do, because you guys talk to me about it, and I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate everyone who's helping me out with this and supporting. It means a lot. I don't really know how else to put it, but yeah, it really means a lot to me. Shout out to my mates back home. Yeah, miss you guys. Shout out the fam back home too. Miss you guys. And yeah, everything's going well here. Old Michigan's great. Girlfriend's great. I could just drop it right now, but I don't know if I should be comfortable with that. But yeah, no, she's fantastic. So we'll see. But regardless, love ya. Hope everything's going well. This is also my favorite thing to do now, by the way, because of women's gymnastics. There's this guy who like just like commentates, like he's like on the video board does this. It's really funny. I like it. But yeah, so hopefully everything's going smoothly, and I will catch up with you guys next week.